You're on Nightlife on this Saturday night. Not long now before the latest ABC News, and then you'll have an hour of music brought to you by the fabulous blues musician Eric Bibb. He's got lots of fascinating stories to tell, so I do hope that you'll stay around for that conversation. And, of course, the pop quiz in a couple of hours' time. But it was Friday last week. We were having a yarn with Paddy Hoare, who was taking part, well, I was being a bit prudish and I didn't want to say the proper name, called it the S-Box rally, but basically really terrible cars, all worth less than about $1,500 that were effectively held together by bits of string. And these cars were making their way from Adelaide across to Western Australia. So did they actually make it? How many breakdowns were they? And how much money did they end up making for the Cancer Council? Here's Paddy again. Hey, Paddy.
Good evening, Suzanne. It's lovely to speak to you again.
You made it. You survived.
I did. You might notice that my voice is a little rougher than when we spoke over a week ago.
Definitely.
That's dust, a little bit of rum and beer involved and a lot of late nights around the campfire, but mainly dust.
So what I want to know is how many of the S-Boxes had breakdowns and had to be fixed up?
Oh, look, too many to count. So out of the 258 teams, every night in camp, when we get to camp, there's an area called triage, which is set up, which it has to be seen to be believed. There's a number of trailers get opened up. There are little mobile workshops. There are welding kits. There are jacks. There are all sorts of things. Cars up on their sides having major, heart transplants. And that's going on every night. And cars that are in any other world would be considered to be dead and irretrievable are resurrected each morning and sent back out on the highway, all in a very safe manner, I have to say. Nobody's going to put a vehicle out that's going to put anybody in any danger. But lots and lots of repairs. My own car had to go into triage twice. And out of the 258, we only lost 6 vehicles.
Six vehicles. Okay.
Yeah, 6.
Percentage-wise, that's impressively low.
It is, and actually for an S-Box, I'm going to use your term, not mine. For an S-Box rally, 6 out of 258 is a pretty low number. You'd normally expect to lose about 15 to 20.
Someone's saying I should say poo box rally.
Maybe poo box. Okay, we can do that. Yeah. Okay.
All right, now tell us about are there any particular stories from the road, Paddy? Any particular, cars that ended up in a spectacularly bad way, or something you'd like to share?
Well, I think the best, look, there was a lot of cars wound up in a bad way. In my buddy group, if you remember last Friday, we were talking about the fact that they break us into buddy groups of 7 to 8 cars. In our buddy group, the problem car was a convertible 306 Peugeot, which was never designed to be driven through the outback, and yet there it was. It had a few electrical issues that required it to come off the road midway through the day and have us all, chip in. But the best story I heard, the best one I saw, was it was a Falcon, a Ford Falcon. I couldn't tell you what year or model, but they were having a problem with their diff. And this was on the, I'm trying to think, I think it's called the Lassiter's Way. It's one of the highways out here in WA. And they were having a problem with their diff. And one of the other members of the buddy group noticed as they were driving along an abandoned vehicle. There's surprisingly, not a huge number, but there's regularly cars on the side of the road that are just wrecked and abandoned and left, burnt out on their side, window smashed, all that sort of thing. And they noticed a Ford Territory that was on its side, and it was actually lying on its side, and they could see the diff, and they radioed the rest of their buddy group and said, that's the same diff that comes out of that Ford Falcon. So the buddy group stopped. About 90 minutes later, they had extracted the rear diff from this abandoned Ford Territory. And that night, it was transplanted into that Ford Falcon, and that Ford Falcon finished the rally.
That's fantastic. I wonder how long it had been there.
Oh, a while. Yeah. I think, I don't know, but that's the ultimate, 21st century mantra, isn't it? Reuse, not recycle, reuse. So here we are out in the outback and we're reusing car parts.
Paddy, I would love to think that the person who left that car there would know that diff got picked up and was driven all the way to WA. Now, how was the weather? Was it kind to you?
Oh, actually, the weather was fantastic. I mean, it was really hot in a lot of places. We got no rain. We had a little bit of dew and a couple of nights. And I've got to say, for those of your listeners that have actually camped in the desert, dew in the desert is very heavy dew. It's so you have to. It doesn't matter what sort of condition you're in at the end of a long day on the road and a late dinner and a few beers around the campfire. You have to make sure your tent and swag is set up to be weatherproof because the dew out here is really heavy. But we were lucky. No significant rainfalls. We saw very little water along the way, actually. We only made one water crossing, which was pretty minor. So, no, weather was good to us.
Okay, so now this was all raising money for the Cancer Council. How much did the rally end up raising?
I'm going to say $3 million. It's actually just shy of $3 million. It's about 2.95 or something like that, $2.91 million so far. But all of the teams that are here tonight at the function at the Swan River Yacht Club in Perth, we all keep our fundraising pages open for another 2 weeks, and there is money comes in because we've all been posting on Facebook. You've got to. I have to make a shout out to my ex-employer, Telstra. They do a great job. It's amazing how every night we manage to have Telstra coverage in our campsite. So everybody's been uploading pictures and stories to Facebook, and there's been a lot of funds come in. One of the teams in my buddy group started the rally with a total of $35,000. They finished the rally 8 days later with $52,000.
Wow.
So if that keeps going for the next 2 weeks, we'll smash that $3 million. We'll get well over $3 million.
Paddy, just remind people how they can support you.
They can Google shitbox. Oh, I'm sorry.
It's out now.
I have to say it. Yeah, look, I'll take that hit. You can bar me for the future. If they Google shitbox rally, that'll take them to the page. And if they want to do me a favour, particularly Google shitbox rally Muppet Show, and you'll see our page. We're at about $12,000 right now, and we really want to get to $15,000. So there's still 2 weeks to donate to this rally. But in the future, plenty more rallies. There's 4 rallies a year. We raise well over $10 million a year for the Cancer Council. In fact, I think this year we're going to go well beyond 10,000, probably more like 12. We are the Cancer Council's second biggest source of income, and we can genuinely point to a lot of research programs that we can point to and say, that's happening because of the money that's being raised.
That was us. Hey, Paddy, thanks. And look, you got the S word in there 3 times. Nicely done. So if you want to support Paddy, I think you know what to do by now. There is Paddy Hall, who is in the S-Box rally this week. And just great to hear that they all made it, well, nearly all of them made it to the West.